Griff had grown so much since I had last seen him that I barely recognised him. I had not sent a telegram to warn them of my arrival for the simple reason that the arrival of a telegram often made people upset before they had even read it, and in addition, I was unsure of the time of the journey. So as I walked down the road with my kit bag over my shoulder, I saw a group of boys playing, and it took me some minutes to realise that one of them was Griff. He had grown. I leaned against the wall to watch them for a moment. They had wooden sticks for guns, and it was clear what they were playing. I heard my son as he barked out orders. "We must hold them until relief comes." Another little boy, a head shorter with long, unkempt hair, said, "But there are too many Zulus." "We can do it, boys. We are soldiers of the Queen." I laughed. They were playing out Rorke's Drift. Just then, my mother came out. She was wiping her hands on her apron. She was about to speak to Griff when she saw me. Her hand went to her mouth and she croaked, "Jack." The boys turned around and saw me in my uniform. Griff recognised me and he ran at me. I dropped the kit bag for he threw himself into my arms. "You are home?" he whispered in my ear. "That I am, son, and for 3 months." The other boys formed 2 lines as, with Griff in one arm and my kit bag in the other, I walked to Aunt Sarah's house. Griff swelled with pride. His friends all stood open-mouthed. I guessed that there were few soldiers in the street. My red coat was distinctive. I knew that when I returned to Africa, my red coat would be hung away for formal occasions. We would be wearing khaki. Griff stroked the wool and then his hand went to my stripes. "Alan's dad says that a sergeant is an important man." "That he is, son." He beamed and held his head even higher. The neighbours had popped their heads out of their front doors at the squeals from the children, and I was studied by women who, like my mother, had come from the kitchen and were wiping their hands on their aprons. I had not spent much time at home, and unlike St. Helens, while I was known by sight, that was as far as it went. I knew that I would be the subject of much conversation that evening when the men came home from work. I was a diversion from the normal rhythm of the day. I had to duck beneath the lintel of the door to avoid striking Griff's head. I dropped my kit bag to the ground as my mother closed the door behind me and, kissing Griff on the cheek, I lowered him. I was home. As she put a hand on my back to direct me towards the kitchen, she asked me the inevitable question. Every soldier had it. "How long are you home for, Jack?" "A full 3 months. My mother was clever. She liked to sit with Aunt Sarah and do all sorts of puzzles. She knew that 3 months' leave meant a wound. She was silent, but her head turned and she studied me. Griff was dragging my kit bag behind me. He knew that I would have gifts for him. My mother sighed. "Let your father get through the door before you pester him for your present." "Yes, Nan. Sorry." He was polite and obeyed orders. The soldier in me liked that. I sat at the table and helped him pull the bag closer as my mother lit the gas under the kettle.